Hi there, the name's Nico, and today I'll be going over my tier list for the best and worst characters in Solo's Eternal Return. I've not made a tier list video in a while, and there have been so many characters added since the last tier list, and one of the most important things added was augments, which have had a major impact on the meta. It's been so long since the last tier list video, so I'll explain more in depth my reasoning. So let's get started. A quick note to add, if you're a new or beginner player to the game, I am planning on making a video related to the stats of new players versus high elo players. All I'm asking for you to do is to link me your doc.gg profile or in-game name through the survey forms linked in the description, as well as linked in the comment section of this video. I'm looking for approximately 50 new players information, so you should not think I have enough people. I need a lot of you. Your help is really appreciated. I'll be showing stats on screen, so here are the average stats that I base around. If the number is in red, it means they belong in the bottom 20%, while if a number is in yellow, they belong in the top 20%. A cyan number means they have the best stats compared to all other characters, while a dark red number means they have the worst stats compared to all other characters. The first character I'll go over is Dagger Jackie. Dagger Jackie is the worst of the Jackies in this meta. Dagger Xiukai is still not that good. Dagger Jackie is mainly used to run away. Unlike the other Jackies, Dagger generally runs Frenzy or Frailty as their core augments, but honestly just play another Jackie if you like Jackie. Dagger Jackie is B tier. The next weapon type for Jackie is Two-Handed Sword Jackie. Now this weapon is not really run in North America, but is extremely popular in Korea, almost as much as dual swords. Two-Handed Sword Jackie runs the main augment you will think of for Jackie, Healing Factor. Healing Factor was nerfed in the sense that you can still apply healing reduction to the person running Healing Factor when it is active, which has really killed this augment. To synergize with Healing Factor, Jackie generally runs Mono Hoshizao because of the lifesteal. Two-Handed Sword Jackie is not doing bad, which is why it is an A tier. The next weapon type is Dual Swords. Now, dual swords have become the meta for Jackie instead of Axe because of the same amount of DPS dual swords can apply. With Healing Factor, you can heal for an insane amount and burst your opponent down really quickly. Jackie has gone through some buffs as well since the last tier list, which have helped her a lot. Dual Sword Jackie is A tier. You can play Two-Handed Sword Jackie or Dual Sword Jackie without any issue. The last weapon type is Axe. Now, Axe has fallen into meta because it is mainly used to run away beforehand, and now Jackie can stand her ground with Dual Swords and Two-Handed Sword. Axe Jackie runs Frailty over Healing Factor due to the fact that Axe is currently running Critical Strike Chance more than Lifesteal, although Lifesteal is the second most popular type of build. Axe Jackie is in B+ tier. Next is Pistol Aya. Pistol Aya has not really changed much in this meta. She still stacks attack power and hunts for kills early on. This meta really favors characters with high burst, which Pistol Aya has, but she often dies early trying to find kills because she herself is really squishy, hence her stats. Pistol Aya is running Frailty mainly for the extra burst. Pistol Aya is in A tier. AR Aya is next. Now AR Aya has changed a lot since the last meta, and I have to put AR Aya in S tier. In this meta, if you can do a lot of damage quickly, you are really strong. This is related to the nerfs related to HP items and health mastery. Also, AR Aya has been doing really well because all EBAD reduction items have been nerfed, so EBAD is doing more damage than before. AR Aya can easily snowball the lobby and can kill you faster than you can kill her for most characters, as well as being able to keep her distance due to Hawkeye or Mithril Quiver. AR Aya was running Frenzy until they nerfed Frenzy, and now she's running Frailty for the extra damage. I would not say she is a top 5 character, but definitely a top 10. The last weapon type for Aya is Sniper. Sniper Aya is currently the worst of the Ayas. She has fallen out of the meta due to the fact that she has limited mobility and is extremely squishy. Unlike her other weapon types, she can only proc her passive shield once per fight, making her an easier target. Sniper Ayas have been nerfed since the last tier list as well, including Blackfire Cannon. Sniper Aya is still an early game griefer, and early game characters have been nerfed due to the buff of speed gates, which is why she's in B tier. Next is Glove Hyunwoo. Now Glove Hyunwoo is back into meta. He definitely is not the best glove user, but glove users have been doing really well lately because of Mark of the Phoenix. Now Mark of the Phoenix is being nerfed next patch in terms of its smolder value, but I do not believe this will be enough. This meta revolves around one-shotting, but Glove Hyunwoo has been building full tank and running reinforced armor, which makes his tank items even stronger. Characters that rely on burst can't kill Hyunwoo, allowing Hyunwoo to out-trade long fights. Glove Hyunwoo is currently in A+ tier, but he will be slightly weaker due to the glove changes. Tonfa Hyunwoo is next. Unlike Glove Hyunwoo, Tonfa is building full percentage amp items and running Amplification Drone. The goal of Tonfa Hyunwoo is to one-shot you after wall-stunning you with his ultimate. Since this meta favors burst characters, Tonfa's skill is really powerful to reflect spell damage that would normally do insane damage, since most people are only running damage items. But because Tonfa Hyunwoo requires setup and is squishy himself because he is running full amp, Tonfa Hyunwoo is in B+ tier. The next character is Magnus. Bat Magnus is still not really as good as Hammer Magnus. The only reason I can say so is the fact that Bat builds attack power or critical strike chance, and Bat's skill is not that good other than for running away. Since this meta heavily favors one-shotting people, critical strike chance or AP Magnus just doesn't do enough damage compared to Hammer, and Hammer skill allows you to do even more damage. This is why I am placing Bat Magnus in B+ tier. He's good at getting high placement, but that's about it. The last weapon type for Magnus is Hammer. I've already been hyping up Hammer Magnus, but Hammer is the better weapon at the moment. Hammer Magnus builds Spell Amp and has really good burst, which is what you're looking for in this meta. Hammer skill also shreds your opponent's defense, which allows your fights to end faster. Hammer Magnus runs Amplification Drone or Diamond Shard depending on the preference of the player or the lobby, and both augments are really good. Hammer Magnus will be placed in A tier, not too strong or too weak. Now we have Fiora. Fiora is getting a major rework, so I do not want to go into major depth about her because her work is major, completely changes how the character is played. So I'll say that currently all the Fioras are in A+ tier. In North America, people mainly play Rapier, but two-handed sword and spear have been doing really well in Korea. My predictions are that spear will be the best weapon type, followed by Rapier, and that unless they add an amp two-handed sword Fiora will be the worst. Next is Bow Nadine. Okay, so looking at the stats, you think Bow Nadine is not doing that good, but this mainly relates to the fact that Crossbow Nadine is a lot better, and no one is really playing Bow. If a character is doing really well in one weapon, it does not mean that they are actually terrible on the other, unless the weapon type is actually bad, like Arcana. Bow Nadine is really squishy, and if she gets caught out, she is generally dead, but because of the burst meta, she does an insane amount of damage, so you have to hope that you have enough damage to kill her before she kills you. Nadine is still insanely strong, which is why Bow Nadine is an A+ tier. The last weapon for Nadine is Crossbow. Crossbow is now the meta for Nadine. The CC you get from Crossbow skill has allowed Nadine to do stupid combos, in my opinion. What some Crossbow Nadines have been doing is maxing W first and then one-shotting people after landing Crossbow skill with W. But this playstyle is currently rare, so sticking with what she is playing. She's playing an attack speed build with Sniper Crossbow. She's able to take half your health off screen with this build, which is not a fair mechanic. Frailty is her main augment, and this is for the burst. If you get hit with Crossbow skill, you are dead. Crossbow Nadine is S tier. Next is Thor Zahir. Thor Zahir stats are looking really bad, but this is because no one plays him. I do agree that Thor Zahir is probably worse because Ruthenium Marble was nerfed, which is his main weapon. But because Shuriken Zahir is doing so well, I cannot in good conscience say Thor Zahir is bad. Shuriken is better in this meta because of Caltrops doing a lot of damage. Thor Zahir is a B tier character. Shuriken Zahir is next. Shuriken Zahir is an A+ tier. Zahir's been lucky enough in this meta to still be able to run tank items such as AoD Suit and Burnished Aegis, and still do insane damage. He has also been doing really well because of the augment Vampiric Bloodline. Zahir has two spells, his Q and his W, that are on relatively short cooldowns, allowing him to get access to Vampiric Bloodline pretty quickly. And then he is able to do his combo and burst someone. Caltrops has been nerfed since the last tier list, but they are still really strong. Now we have Hart. Hart is one of those characters that is fine in lower tiers, but in high tiers she is really strong. Understanding proper spacing with Hart is something new players struggle with, but once you get past that, she is really strong. With the nerfs to HP items and health mastery, characters are able to be bursted faster than ever before, which has favored EBAD characters in general. EBAD reduction items were also nerfed, which has helped Hart even more. Hart has received some minor nerfs, but she is still really strong. Hart is still S tier. Next is AR Isol. Unlike his AR counterpart Aya, he has not been doing nearly as well. This relates to the fact that Aya's passive is really good for AR. Isol is not doing good during the last tier list, but he has received many buffs since then and is doing fine. AR Isol is an A tier. Then we have Pistol Isol. Even though Isol got buffed, Pistol Isol is slightly nerfed due to the fact that the CDR cap was nerfed. AR Isol's strength is securing kills, while Pistol Isol's strength is winning the game by poking people until they leave him alone, then allowing him to set up traps in the final circle. This is why he gets lower kills than average in top 1000. Pistol Isol will be placed in A tier. Now we have Glove Li Dailin. Li Dailin has gone through a lot of changes since the last tier list. Eden keeps buffing parts of her kit and nerfing other parts, such as her passive was nerfed and her ultimate was buffed. In the most recent patch, her base attack speed was buffed. Li Dailin is a character that feels like she will always be on the border between broken and weak. Glove Dailin is actually her least popular weapon, even with Mark of the Phoenix being really strong. This is because of Nunchuck scaling being better in terms of spell amp and Cerberus being a really strong weapon. Glove Li Dailin is going in A tier. The last weapon type for Li Dailin is Nunchaku. Nunchaku is currently Li Dailin's best weapon type as she is performing better in almost all areas compared to Glove except for placement, because you build Glove Li Dailin tankier than Nunchaku in general. I mentioned why Nunchaku is better when talking about Glove Li Dailin, which is why Nunchaku Li Dailin is going in A tier. I could be wrong about Li Dailin though, because I don't see a lot of Li Dailin players in NA, and as mentioned before, she will always be on the border between being broken or weak, so it could just be that people haven't found the best build for her at the moment. Now we have Yuki. Yuki has been absolutely gutted since the last tier list. Literally all of his abilities have been nerfed, and they have removed many parts of his kit that have allowed him to have skill expression. Two-handed sword Yuki is doing better than dual sword, but this is because two-handed sword Yuki has been playing tank CDR with Lavatine on it, which has Smolder on it, which is really strong, or I've been playing Hovid crit Yuki. Both types of builds are not doing that well. Two-handed sword Yuki is going in B tier. For dual sword Yuki, I can't say the same thing. No one has been playing dual sword Yuki, and the people who have been playing him have been doing really poorly. On top of the Yuki nerfs, dual sword routing has been changed to be even worse than before without much benefit. Dual sword Yuki is in C tier. Bow Hyejin is next. Hyejin actually received nerfs without compensation since the last tier list, and I can finally say that Hyejin is no longer in S tier. Hyejin is still a character that does better in higher tiers because it takes some time to master her combo and spacing, but she is no longer killing people without counterplay. The burst meta has favored Hyejin more, but she can be bursted herself, which is why Bow Hyejin is going in A tier. Then we have Shuriken Hyejin. Shuriken Hyejin is in a similar spot to Bow Hyejin, and she has her own strengths and weaknesses compared to Bow. Shuriken Hyejin has more burst than Bow does, but Bow has better zoning with Bow skill and can auto more reliably and works better with her spacing. Shuriken still has been nerfed since the last tier list, but is still really strong. And Petal Torrent is back in meta, which is honestly broken and needs a rework. But I'll say Shuriken Hyejin is not the strongest Shuriken wielder out there, which is why she is joining her other weapon type in A tier. Now we have Xiukai. Xiukai has received a lot of nerfs since the last tier list. With the HP nerfs and the HP mastery nerfs, Xiukai is no longer as tanky, and the nerfs Xiukai has gotten have been a lot. At this point, if Xiukai can no longer kill you with his ultimate, he is dead. Xiukai has been running an amplification drone to help him secure kills with his ultimate as well. Spear Xiukai is still the better Xiukai because Spear has some decent weapons for Xiukai, as well as Spear skill not being bad with Xiukai. Spear Xiukai is A tier. Dagger Xiukai is just not as good as Spear. Dagger is still one of the worst weapon skills in the game, and your only weapon option is Mount Slicer, which is not as good as your Spear options. Dagger Xiukai is in B tier. Next is Shuriken Sissela. Sissela has finally gotten nerfs without compensation like Hyejin. She no longer heals for as much from her passive, but does not do as much damage with her Q. Kill drops were also nerfed but are still really strong. All the Shuriken weapons are really good, and Petal Torrent is back into meta and is just as strong as ever, although it did receive a minor nerf to the amount of EBAT it has. Sissela is by no means meek, but her power level has definitely been toned down. She is strong in the right's hands, which is why she is moving down to A+ tier. Then we have Throw Sissela. Sissela's main throw weapon, Ruthenium Marble, has been nerfed, and Incendiary Bomb did receive a rework that I thought that would help Sissela since it has percentage amp and CDR, but Sissela's not really been building it. No one's really playing Throw Sissela in any region, let alone NA, but the people who have been running her KR are building her as her critical strike and EBAT user, which I definitely think is the weaker version of Sissela. But Throw Sissela is going in B tier, but it might be stronger than I think because no one plays Throw because Shuriken is the better option. Now we have Chiara. Honestly, I do not have a great grasp of where Chiara fits into the meta until recently because I have not been seeing many people play her. Chiara's finally switched from the more tank build to crit Chiara. Crit Chiara is really good at getting kills, but Chiara has always suffered from the fact that when her ultimate is down, she's half a character and many characters can kill her easily. This leaves her susceptible to third parties, which is what this meta is all about. There is also a Meteor Claymore Chiara, which is more popular in NA and is also strong. I would keep an eye on Chiara though in the future because Chiara's two biggest threats, Yuki and Fiora, have either been nerfed to the ground or have been completely reworked. This may let Chiara shine more, but for now she will be placed in A tier. Adriana is next. Adriana is in an interesting position where not many people play her in NA, but in KR they think she is top 5. In playing her myself, I've noticed that her Q does a lot of damage, or at least it has felt like more than when I played her a few months ago. Adriana's main weapon, Incendiary Bomb, was reworked to be a percentage amp weapon, which Adriana does not like, which has forced Adriana to play Smoke Bomb. There was a new throw weapon added, Sticky Bomb, which Adriana was building to hot swap between for the slow that Sticky Bomb granted, but now that this feature was removed, Adriana is not building it as much. Frailty is Adriana's main core augment, and this has allowed Adriana to burst people faster than she has ever been able to. Adriana did get nerfed in the most recent patch, but I think she's still in a good spot, which is why I'm placing her in A+ tier. Next is Shoichi. Shoichi did follow the meta, then reappeared as a critical strike user using Vibroblade since Vibroblade got buffed since the last tier list. But then Shoichi got nerfed and is currently just a kills character, which is why Shoichi will be placed in B+ tier. Then we have Silvia. Silvia will be the first character that I will be placing in SSS tier, which is a new tier I decided to add to highlight characters that need immediate heavy nerfs because they are meta breaking. Silvia was struggling to find her place for a bit until augments came out, and now with augments, she not only is allowed to build full tank, but she also does a lot of damage, as well as being able to leave any bad fight or third party any kill she wants. It seems like NN acknowledges her as a problem, but they haven't given her any direct nerfs, but instead have given her compensation buffs, which she definitely doesn't need. The augments that have broken her are Vampiric Bloodline, which allows her to gain free percentage champ without needing to build any damage, and Reinforced Armor, which prevents characters, specifically spellcasters, from bursting her, allowing Silvia to kill burst mages once their combo is finished. Silvia needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Now we have Emma. Emma is another problematic character. She has received several nerfs since the last tier list, but is still strong. With the introduction of augments, she has been able to burst people without the opponent having any counterplay. With a combination of Frailty, Dismantled Goliath, and Thorn Shackles, her damage is through the roof. Caltrops have been nerfed, but they are still strong, and with Emma's combo, they can be used to burst someone. The cooldown reduction cap was nerfed, but this has allowed Emma to use the best non-RNG Shuriken, Azure Dagger, to reach the CDR cap, allowing her to do even more damage. Emma is an S tier character. Lenox is next. Lenox has also become a problem child since the last tier list. I honestly thought that the HP nerfs and HP mastery would hurt her, but they haven't. Instead of Lenox using her item slots for HP or tanky items, she's been using them for damage items, and with a combination of Frailty, Stopping Power, and Thorn Shackles, she's able to one-combo pretty much anyone. Lenox is just starting to get nerfed, and I expect more nerfs to come, but for now, she is an S tier character. Next is Rozzi. Now, Rozzi is an interesting character with augments. Out of all the characters in the game, I did not expect Rozzi to be the one running Vampiric Bloodline. I would expect characters like Emma or Lenox, but those characters are not. Rozzi is not in a bad spot right now and has been able to get kills and have a decent win rate. I've seen Rozzi take several back-to-back fights and win them all. She has been nerfed, or how her damage is dealt has been shifted around, but she is definitely not a weak character. I will be placing her in A tier. Then we have Luke. Luke has been on the chopping block because of his dominance in norms and low elo. There was a period of time where Luke was maybe not S tier, but was definitely doing well because they buffed his E to a point where he can jump behind someone who couldn't even auto him. That was removed and he was nerfed in a lot of ways. Luke was always a character that did not do well at high elo, and now has been doing even worse. Luke is a B tier character. Now we have Cathy. Cathy was dominated the meta when she received her re-rick for about a month or two before she was also placed on the chopping block. Now Cathy is honestly not that good. Even though this is a burst meta, which Cathy should be doing well in, she just doesn't have the damage or survivability to kill someone before she dies. Cathy is also a B tier character. Adela is next. Now in the last tier list, I said that I definitely knew Adela was stronger than she was, and finally Chiara has realized this. She has been starting to get some nerfs. Adela is a character who can pretty much run any core augment and do well. Adela will be placed in A+ tier. And then we have Bernice. Bernice was also dominating for 2 weeks before he received several nerfs. On top of these nerfs, sniper rifles were also nerfed as well. Sniper skill is still one of the worst weapon skills in the game. Bernice is able to secure kills and snowball a lobby, but struggles to get past the early game. Because of these things, Bernice will be placed in B+ tier. Next is Barbara. Barbara is currently a character that builds a lot of traps and wins in Final Circle. She's one of the only characters that use Amplification Drone to help her burst characters when she ults, which is her main source of damage. Other than that, Barbara is just performing on average, which is why Barbara is also going in B+ tier. Then we have Alex. Alex is the case where he is good in high tiers, but somewhat struggles in lower tiers due to the management of his weapons and knowing his combos. Alex is still running AMP, with Caltrops doing a lot of damage. Pedal Torrent is back into meta, and Alex is a character that is using Pedal Torrent. It was slightly nerfed, but is still really strong, and that weapon just needs a rework at this point. Alex will be placed in A+ tier. Now we have Sua. Sua is a character that has really benefited from augments. There are two main augments that Sua is running, Vampiric Bloodline and Diamond Shard. Vampiric Bloodline is more popular in NA, while Diamond Shard is more popular in KR, but both augments are good. Sua has been able to do a lot of damage without needing to hit any skill shots, similar to Adela because her passive does a lot of damage. She did get a pretty decent nerf to her passive in the most recent patch notes, So we'll have to see how this impacts her, but for now she'll be placed in S tier. Leon is next. I thought that Leon was not in a good spot for about a month, and suddenly he has reappeared into the meta being just as strong. People believe this relates to Mark of the Phoenix change, but Leon is just as strong without needing Mark of the Phoenix. He has similar issues as Silvia, except he does not build tank originally, but switches over to tank items in the late game such as Queen of Hearts and Boots of Hermes. Leon can pick and choose his fights because of his movement speed he gets from his passive. He also does a lot of damage, with Frailty being his main perk. Leon did get hit with a bunch of nerfs, and glove skill was also touched in the most recent patch, but Leon seems to be doing well, which is why he'll be joining Silvia in SSS tier. Next we have 11. 11 is also not in a bad spot right now. With the introduction of augments, she has been running Frenzy as her main augment, since in her combo, she uses Hammer skill, which reduces the enemy's defense and then bursts them down with her ultimate. She builds Critical Strike, which does a lot of damage since her ultimate allows her to hit twice. 11 is also the fastest character in the game with a great escape tool, allowing her to get away from bad fights. 11 will be placed in A tier. Then we have Rio. Now Rio is another character has benefited a lot from augments. The problem with most EBAD characters is that they have a lot of damage, but not the health to survive. But when Healing Drone was introduced, this has helped solve Rio's problem. And if she gets Wick and Wick items, she can build Burgundy, which has a passive that grants a shield, which helps her survive for longer. Rio has been nerfed a bunch, including her weapon, but Rio has been doing well, which is why she'll be placed in A+ tier. Now we have William. William is in a similar position as Rio, except most people run Frailty instead of Healing Drone. William has insane burst, and with the changes to HP items and HP mastery, he can burst people even easier. William has received some nerfs, but still is performing well. He did receive a change in the most recent patch where he can keep his Q up for longer, and this may have huge implications, but we'll have to see. But for now, he'll be joining Rio in A+ tier. Nicky is next. Nicky is a lot different than she was since my last tier list. This is because her main glove, Frost Petal, received a huge nerf and basically made the old Frost Petal into Permafrost, which is a glove that requires a Tree of Life. Nicky has been starting to build more tanky and relying on damage from Mark of the Phoenix to win. Some people still run Amp Nicky, and this may become more popular due to the nerfs of Mark of the Phoenix. Even with Mark of the Phoenix, there are better glove characters than her, and she probably is the worst glove character, which is why she'll be placed in B+ tier. Next is Nathapon. Nathapon never got any real buffs, but 2 patches ago he did receive major nerfs. Nathapon's game plan is to get a bunch of early game kills and snowball, but with the most recent nerfs, he struggles to snowball as much. I don't know exactly what is happening in KR with Nathapon because his stats lately in terms of kills have been doing really well, but when I look at the top Nathapon players, none of them have been doing that well. Nathapon will be placed in C tier. Then we have Yon. Yon is going to be placed in S tier as well. Everyone has been talking about how strong Leon is, but Yon is just as strong as Leon. Yon is able to afford running tank items in the early game and do a lot of damage. He has one of the strongest early games and can reliably get Cemetery Tree, allowing him to get an early Mark of the Phoenix. Yon and Glove Skill did receive nerfs in the most recent patch, so we'll have to see how he is, but I don't expect him to change. Now we have Ava. Ava has been strong for a while now. Definitely not a top tier, but still strong. She's able to poke and then burst someone with her ultimate. With the introduction of augments, she has been running Frailty for that extra damage. Now Ava did receive a nerf in the most recent patch, so we'll have to see how this impacts her, but for now Ava is in A+ tier. I would keep an eye on Scotty Ava because Scotty now has a slow associated with it, and I can see this benefiting Ava a lot. Daniel is next. Daniel is in an odd spot where I do not know what his true power strength is. I still believe that Crit Daniel is the best Daniel, but not many people are running it. Daniel still relies on his ultimate to do most of his damage, and is a sitting duck otherwise. His ultimate is on a really short cooldown, so he can get a lot of kills. Daniel also has a great escape between his dash and his Q that slows people if hit. Daniel is being placed in A+ tier. Now for the newest character since my last tier list. The first character is Jenny. Now Jenny was not that strong on her release, but they gave her a major buff, which was that she could animation cancel her next auto attack after using E, which allowed her to run Stampede, which is a pistol with 2 ammo. This synergizes really well with her kit. And with HP nerfs across the board, this has allowed Jenny to burst people. But Jenny has received many indirect and direct nerfs since her prime time. Grimoire does not do as much damage, and Devil's Marksman does not heal for nearly as much, and she does not recover as much HP when her passive activates. This may be controversial, but I think Jenny needs some minor buffs at this point, but for now she is going in B+ tier. Next up is Camilo. Camilo on his release was considered a pub stomper, which is why he got nerfed a bunch, but he was never strong in high elo. Dual sword routing got changed to be really bad without much compensation. Camilo is the strongest in team modes, but in solos he is pretty weak, which is why he is going in B tier. Then we have Chloe. Chloe is a hard character to learn if you haven't played another character in a MOBA where you have to control 2 characters at once, but once you learn how to do this, Chloe is really strong. This is due to the fact that her autos do a lot of damage with Critical Strike, but also she can do a lot of damage with Petal Torrent. Chloe has a strong ultimate that allows her to stay alive for longer because she stares her health with Nina, but if you are going up against a character with a lot of AoE, then this can actually hurt you. Chloe also runs Healing Drone, which allows her to stay alive even longer. Chloe is an A+ tier character. Now we have Johann. Johann is the worst characters in solos. I can say you can climb with any characters in solos, but you can't climb with Johann. He does 0 damage and half his kit revolves around supporting his team. Johann is going in his own tier in D tier. Bianca is next. Bianca is also a new character that is not that great. Bianca had a lot of bugs that impacted her performance. She did receive some buffs to her damage, but nerfs to her healing and slow in her ultimate. I do not know the bug fixes have helped Bianca do well, but for now she is going in C tier. The last of the new characters I'll cover is Celine. Now Celine's release was a disaster in the sense that even if you built max HP and lots of SP drinks including Cancy Cola, she would run out of SP. Celine currently needs to bait people into a 5 bomb, but most people just walk away if they see her stacking bombs. Celine can do a lot of damage and she has good objective clear, but it's conditional. Celine, in my opinion, is the hardest character and requires really good positioning and knowing lots of combos to use in certain circumstances to do well. Celine will be placed in B tier. I know Ekiana is out, but I don't have enough information to give you a good opinion on his strength, so we'll be talking about him in the next tier list video. Okay, so now I'm going to put them in order in their respective tiers, with best in that tier being on the left and the worst in that tier being on the right. Please keep in mind that if someone is on the right of their tier, it does not mean they are bad, unless you're talking about C or D tier characters, of course. It just means that there are characters that are slightly better than them, but they still all belong in the same tier. And yeah, this is the final tier list. I plan on doing this monthly or bi-monthly since too soon means not much has changed, but later than a month is missing a new meta and characters. So if you like these types of videos, please give this a like and subscribe for more Eternal Return content. I will see you at the next video.